The first year of home education can feel so overwhelming and scary. And one of the reasons for that is because you've never done this before. And very likely you don't know anyone else who is home educating either. And so today I'm going to tell you the things that nobody tells you about the first year of home education. And I'm hoping that this will help you move towards a place of feeling calm and confident as you embark on this journey. I would have loved to have known these things right at the start of my journey, and it would have made the whole process a whole lot easier. The first thing that nobody tells you is that there doesn't have to be some dramatic change in your life. You don't have to get to the first day of school when your child would be starting school and be like, okay, now we are home educating, and then there's like some big dramatic change. I remember on our first day of home education, our official first day, when my son would have sat down in a classroom in school. And what we did that day was we went to Home Bargains and we had a few presents, I think, to buy. And then afterwards outside, I took a couple of pictures on my phone of my sons, and they just posed beside some bushes outside of Home Bargains. And then we kind of just went home and did our normal stuff. And that was it. There was not some big dramatic, now we are home educating moment. It was just, we continued with our life as it was before. Our life doesn't look the same as it did then, but that's not because there was some big dramatic change that happened on the day my son would have sat down in school. It's a result of gradual changes over years as I've learned more and as he's grown. And that's where the real change in our home education journey has come, not right at the start, when there's a big change, like you don't suddenly become home educators and make your whole house look like a school and then suddenly you are officially home educating. Home education looks much more like real life and much less like school, and it's meant to be that way. The next thing nobody tells you about home education in your first year is that you can use the curriculum and still do child-led learning. I thought that I had to choose a specific home education style before I began. So I thought I had to become either an unschooler, or I had to follow Charlotte Mason or a classical style. And what I've come to realise is actually the whole point of home education is you can choose what you want to do. You can do pick and mix home education, which I think is what a lot of families do. And it is just you choose specific things from specific styles that you like. You might like an unschooling style for this part of your life. You might like a more Charlotte Mason for that part. And you can just pick and mix certain aspects of different educational styles and mash them all together into your own unique educational style. Because you are your own unique family, your child is their own unique person, and no one educational style is necessarily going to fit them fully. And so a lot of families, the pick and mix style of education does really suit them, and it certainly suits our family. And so you don't have to choose a style and be like, I'm going to do this style and that's the end of it. Because there are certain things that are good in a lot of different styles, and sometimes you do want to just go hardcore in one style, and that's fine and that's great. But more often than not, you're going to pick and choose from a bunch of different styles. Don't feel the pressure to be pigeonholed into a certain learning style or educational model. Your child can be passionately following their interests about dinosaurs one minute, and the next minute they can be sitting down to do a maths worksheet with you. You don't have to use curriculum and be like a hardcore traditional educator and then be like, nope, can't do any child-led learning. You can do both of them, and they can merge together and become a really nice balanced approach overall. In my guide, which I will link down below, I show you exactly how to do your first year of home education, step by step, what you actually need to do and what you don't need to do. And it's not a specific educational style, it's about tailoring an education that is right for your child. The next thing that nobody tells you about your first year of home education is that if your house doesn't look peaceful all of the time, that doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. I thought for a while that I was just doing it wrong when my house wasn't peaceful all the time. And to some people this will be obvious, but yes, our kids are still human, they still have meltdowns and tantrums, they still just are screaming their heads off and running around and being themselves, right? And just because we home educate, that doesn't all go away and your house doesn't become suddenly this kind of peaceful haven that it wasn't before. Our kids have their own emotions and reactions, and they are still children. The only people that we can control in the home is ourselves. It is only our emotions and our reactions that we can control, And we can't suddenly expect our children to be grateful and happy all of the time because we're giving them this wonderful home education life. Sometimes we might look at our children and go, you should be so happy and grateful all the time because of this wonderful life that I'm giving you. But that's not how kids work, right? That's not how their brains work. They are children, they are going to resist certain things, and they're going to just be themselves fully in whatever situation they're in. And so just because your home doesn't look 100% peaceful all the time and idyllic, and it isn't this like perfect, picture perfect thing that you have in your head that you thought home education was going to be, that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. In fact, you're probably doing it very right, and that's just a part of life. There will still be wrestling matches, there'll still be screaming, there'll still be running around, and there should be a certain level of peace within your home if you home educate, and it should not be complete chaos all the time, because that also is not really the ideal situation, right? But it will not be peaceful 100% of the time, and that does not mean you're doing it wrong. So there you go. Those are some of the things that nobody tells you about home education. Leave me a comment down below and let me know which of these you were most surprised by.